Welcome back to the county seat. Our topic today is planning and zoning. What does it take to get a building permit? What does it take to get a business license? And why are all those evil county people and city people telling you no? Well, there's always a reason for it. Joining us for our discussion today is Brad Larson, who's a battalion chief and a deputy fire marshal with the Unified Fire Authority. We have Ron London, environmental health supervisor for the Salt Lake Valley Health Department. And we have Roland Yoshinaga, who is a division director of Salt Lake County Planning and Development Services. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us today. I guess, Roland, we'll start with you. I want to build something on my property. What's the process?
Well, essentially, everyone interacts with us in terms of two components, a building permit and a business license. So you come into the office, you apply for that permit, and then the application is reviewed in terms of what that application would require based on what's being asked for. So you may, they look at things like setbacks, building height, things like that.
Is it best to come to the application process with plans, or is it best to get plans and then go to the architect or draw your plans?
It's always best to come in with as much as you can with plans, because then the people looking at it can make a more accurate assessment of what ordinances you might be interacting with based on that plan.
Okay. Well, what's the next step?
Well, whenever something's being requested, it comes into sort of two categories. One is a permitted use, and another is what's called a conditional use. So if you're using the property, whatever you're building this for, maybe you're building it, adding something for a home-based business on your property, or maybe you're remodeling a suite in a strip mall. But if you're coming in, the first level of evaluation is whether or not that's a permitted use. So the ordinances are set up so that communities can control what's going on in their areas, so that so you have things that are permitted use. For instance, a daycare might be a permitted use in a residential area, whereas maybe something else isn't. So, and then you have a layer of conditional uses, which those require a review by a planning commission. And what the planning commissions do is set conditions on those conditional uses, traffic, parking, those sorts of things.
Now, let me ask you a couple of other questions. When does the health department interact with a building permit? I don't see that connection.
Well, we interact with the building permit in two ways. One is we're interested in that they have legal and physical water and sewer. And so we're interested in making sure that if the sewer district has a certain requirement for a business like a restaurant, that they are able to know what they need to do. And then the second part of a building permit that we really get involved with is if they're in an area of the valley that requires a septic tank or an on-site wastewater system, and that's our responsibility to make sure that on-site wastewater system's put in properly and is done according to safely protect public health.
From the fire department standpoint, I guess it's, one would say fairly obvious. You need to have, you need to inspect to make sure that wires have nice coatings on them, and that there's a vent for the stove, and I guess things like that.
Well, we actually like to get involved early on in the process. When they have the original application, we like to get a site plan early so that we can look at the location of the building on the property. And
why is that important?
Well, for a couple of reasons. We like to look at the available water supply and from the existing hydrants and check and see if additional hydrants might be required. The fire flow from the hydrants to see if we're going to have enough water for suppression activities. We also like to look at the access roads. How close can we get our engine and ladder trucks to the property to perform the firefighting operations? Those are critical elements in the development process.
Is there usually a solution that can be altered around on?
Yes, depending on the topography, the location on property. At that point, and I suppose we'll talk a little bit about this, they can file an appeal to us. It's a code modification request, and we can look at equivalencies, is what we call them.
Perfect. Well, listen, that gives us a good start. We'll come back with the county seat. We'll continue. We'll talk about the appeals process now that it's been thrown out on the table when we come back. Stay with us.
unlimited opportunity for adventure. It's all about knowing where to look. ATV adventures, rock crawling events, art festivals, and wildlife events. The opportunities are limitless. Pick your adventure in Millard County.
Have you ever wanted to go on a vacation to Mars? What about a visit to the Old West? Impossible, right? Well, forget what you think is real. In southern Utah's KANE County, other worlds are just an ATV ride away. The Old West lives on in every sunset. From the downtown streets of Little Hollywood to the vistas that have inspired the world. Never find yourself closer to home and yet farther than you've ever been. Southern Utah's KANE County, where anywhere is possible.
There's no need to travel far to find that perfect family adventure. August 11th, there's the big demolition derby that wraps up our county fair. Juab County. It'll change your family forever.
Imagine a place where the world's largest concentration of scenic attractions can be found, where radiant cliffs of 2 national parks and 3 state parks tower to kiss the azure sky. Come and visit any one of the many memorable sites and events that Bryce Canyon Country, Garfield County, Utah has to offer. Drive along National Scenic Byway 143 and All-American Road Highway 12 and experience the ultimate adventure.